So, we are live. I'm excited about this interview here with my man Ben
Boudart.
Boudart. Sorry.
You're good.
I know
You're
we
good.
just
You're
said
good. Yeah. You gotta say it a few times.
But like I said, I'm excited to have Ben on here because he's young. He's doing his thing. He's really big into real estate right now, and of course that's something that I'm trying to get into. So, like I said, I'm excited to have him on here, and I'm sure he's gonna have a lot of good tidbits, a lot of good information to share with everyone. So, let's start at the top. You went to University of Delaware.
Went to University of Delaware.
What'd you study?
I was criminal justice with a focus on law and society, and I had a legal studies minor.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then you said you were gonna be a lawyer, but student loans and everything cost too much, and you were like, all right,
Exactly.
I don't want to go that route. So you got
Exactly.
your bachelor's.
Yeah,
right?
I got my bachelor's degree, graduated in May, kind of sat around probably for 6 months, played Xbox, didn't really know what I wanted to do with my life.
It's like everyone wants to get out of college.
Exactly. I didn't have the traditional business degree route. I didn't get any internships this isn't just going to entry level position after college. Kind of sat around trying to figure this out, and I don't know. My parents got on my back a little bit, go do something.
Yo, what are you doing?
Figure
here?
something out, right?
Yeah.
So I was like, I'll go to real estate school. Why not?
You got your license?
No, I never got the license. So I was like, real estate school takes 2 months. So I was like, worst case, I had an interest. I was like, real estate could be interesting. I always kind of had a background in wanting to do sales. I was like, this could be fun. At least real estate school will take up 2 months, whatever. September, October, 2016. My parents won't be on my back. I'll be doing something. So go to real estate school, finish that, pass my license exam, and then I was kind of looking around for a team, somebody who could teach me the real estate business. I didn't want to just jump in blind and try to figure it out.
Real estate school. What real estate school is?
It was held at Keller Williams on 202 in Wilmington.
Okay, so it wasn't
one of the
wasn't anything to become an agent. It was just
it was just to get your license.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, take the license test. And then it was up to you to go find a brokerage.
So you paid it was $600.
Yeah, something like that.
Because I went through it all too. I was an agent for about a year. I actually took the class with Vince Garman.
Vince Garman, yeah. Vince was my agent. I did a few mortgage deals with Vince, and I bought one of my rental properties with Vince.
Really?
Yeah, I was just texting him today actually.
He's the boy.
Yeah,
I love Vince.
He's cool.
I actually had an interview with him last year, but I had. I'm starting to bring all this stuff out back again and actually.
Oh, he's doing it up now. Yeah.
He's doing well. He's great now.
Yeah.
I'm mad though because I had our interview on a hard drive and the hard drive.
Just bring it back.
Yeah,
He's got a whole new set of things to talk about.
I can't wait to talk. And I talk to him all the time too, and he's always like, "Yeah, man, give me that Machiavelli energy." And I'm like, whatever,
cool. He's
man.
Cool.
He's awesome. I've always loved him. Anyways, so you're in the school and everything. You were trying to get your license, but you never got it. Why did you pay all of that to then?
So my little sister is a nanny for one of the most successful mortgage guys in Delaware, and he was the one that kind of was like, hey, I know of a team, Andrea Harrington's team in Middletown, that's they're hiring, they're trying to bring someone on. It's all women.
Gotcha. So you're on her team.
Then they ended up, it didn't happen. It didn't work out. This was around Thanksgiving time, and they ended up hiring a female that speaks Spanish. That was something that they needed, obviously more than just a dude. So, but with talking with him, he was like, why don't you come check out the mortgage business? Sit with me for a day, kind of see how this works. He was like, I think you'd be good at it. I think it's something based off talking to you that you'd be successful in.
And who was that?
Nick DeMedio, Pike Creek Loans.
Gotcha.
So I go.
But you're friends with Randy too, right?
Randy Reddick. Yeah, I'm friends with Randy Reddick.
He's the boy.
But I hadn't met Randy yet. I didn't meet Randy till I was already a mortgage guy. So I go sit with Nick, spend a day with him. I was like, yeah, I love it. It's all about numbers. You don't have to drive people around, show them houses. Don't have to go on listing appointments. You just take people's documents, run the numbers, and it's a customer service game. Just be good with people.
Mm-hmm.
So I loved it. Pike Creek brought me on in February of 2017. I sat in the back for a whole year, just learning the process, like doing closing disclosures, like XYZ, like any random thing they wanted to give me. And then took my mortgage test, passed it on the first try, which is like, apparently not that easy to do.
No, none of those tests are that easy to pass on the first time.
But I mean, I did study for like a year because I sat in the back, like sometimes doing nothing.
You knew your stuff.
Yeah. So passed that, started writing mortgages, and then it was really all downhill from there. I mean,
or uphill.
Yeah, uphill. I guess you could say it wasn't easy.
It felt like it was downhill because you started
finally
running
had
faster.
Yeah. Finally had my license. Like finally, like after all these years, was doing something that I felt like was going to be something I did for the rest of my life. Whatever. Did mortgages. It was good. It was fun. You know, met a lot of interesting people. Did mortgages for a lot of interesting people. You know, you get people from all walks of life. People who never thought they'd be able to own a home. People who have been so on top of their finances from like the day they were 18, like you know, it was interesting. It was definitely interesting. But what I really learned was there's so many ways to buy a house. You know, I got people in houses for $1,000. I got people in a house for no money. But the people that I really paid attention to were the guys that were buying rental properties, and they weren't really spending that much money. You know what I mean? 20% down, no mortgage insurance, and they're buying a rental property. They're automatically making money the day after closing. Like hit the ground running. This is genius, you know.
So you started talking to a bunch of them, making some contacts, and you're like,
exactly.
I could do this.
Exactly. So, I mean, I pretty much saved the entire time I was working at Pike Creek Mortgage. Like, they put me on salary first, and then I saved every loan I ever did, any commission I ever got. And I bought 2 rental properties, and I was like, all right, this is something I can do. But, you know, it wasn't all easy, you know. Like,
now, during this time that you were doing all that and saving everything, were you living at home?
Yes, that's what I can tell people. You know, live at home for as long as possible. Like,
live with your parents.
If you can live at home for free, and your parents aren't crazy, just do it. You know?
And were you also paying student loans at this time too?
No, so that I kind of got lucky in college. I kind of paid my way through.
Really?
Didn't have any student loans at the end. I also had my dad's GI Bill that paid for like 75% of my school. So I didn't really.
Like he was in the Army?
He's in the Navy.
He's in the Navy.
Yeah, so I used the GI Bill up until senior year. So I was only responsible for 1 year of school.
Wow,
yeah, so,
that's awesome.
Yeah, so I got pretty lucky
Thanks,
there.
Dad.
Yeah, thanks, Dad. Right? Set me up. Got to live at home for free. My car was paid off. I had no student loans. So I was like, all I can do is.
Did you pay your car off?
Yeah, all I can do is focus on
So you were
on
your finance and on everything, you know, even before
oh,
college.
Yeah. I was always like super
how
crazy
long had
about
you had
my
your
money.
car for?
Well, the car I have now is my 3rd one.
Well, at the time.
Yeah, but yeah, since day one, like all my cars, the first car I ever bought it in cash, like didn't get a loan, like no car payment.
Nice.
The second car I got had a car payment, hated the car after like a year.
What kind of car was it?
It was a Ford Focus, 2013. It was terrible. Their cars are terrible. They're built awful.
Ford isn't that great.
They're built awful.
They're trucks.
Yeah, it had problems all the time, and I finally got stranded in Philly one day, and I was like, I'm getting rid of this thing, like, getting rid of this car, like, as soon as it gets fixed, like, I'm done with it. Trading it in, like, took it to the Acura dealership, I was like, whatever you guys can give me, like,
what the hell happened to it?
So, like, that Ford Focus, I think it's, like, the 2012 through 2014, my dates might be off, but they're built with the Ford Fiesta transmission, so, like,
what?
So it's like this.
And that's a small car.
Yeah, so it's like a manual / automatic. Like it's a manual transmission, but it has like a little robot that shifts it. So then it's an automatic. But like you'll feel it like drag sometimes when it's shifting gears. Like it'll shake. And then it got to the point where my car like wouldn't start. Like my car would think it's in park, like or my car would just wouldn't start. Like or.
That's crazy.
Yeah, so I was like, I'm done with this thing. I'm absolutely done with this thing. Like Ford covered the fix, but I was like, I'm not gonna just continue dealing with this problem.
Yeah.
Like I got
you traded that in, got a new car. What'd you get?
Got an Acura.
Got an Acura.
Same car I got now.
Got you.
Paid it off.
How much was that, if you don't mind?
I think I paid like 18 or 19,000. Like it was lightly used. Some old lady had it before me.
And how much did they give you for the Ford?
Oh, like nothing. I I think I bought it for like 13 or 14,000, and I think I got like 7 or 8 after like a year and a half.
Shit.
Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah, and it was like
That
fully loaded.
sucks.
Like, oh yeah, it was a nice Focus, but I was just like, get rid of it. Just get me out of this thing. Like, I'm done with it.
And you got this car. How old were you then?
This was when right before I started working for Pike Creek Mortgage, actually. So it was I was 22. Yeah, I was barely 22. Now? Yeah, I'm about to be 25.
About to be 25.
Yeah. So.
Nice. Well,
yeah.
Happy almost birthday.
Yeah.
When's your birthday?
Thank you. July.
July. Okay.
July. Coming up.
I'm June 30th. So you're a Cancer.
Yeah. Cancer. Yeah.
My man. We're the best people.
We are. You can't beat a summer birthday.
Exactly. But so switching gears, literally.
Yeah.
You had gotten that car and everything back when you were 22, before you had started everything with the mortgages.
Yes.
And then you used your mortgage money and everything to leverage you to buy a house. But you said you were making money before all this. So how were you able to pay off everything before?
So I had a cannabis compliance company in college. So I had a legal grow in Oregon when I was this was my senior year in college.
I didn't even
Some
know.
of my friends that
wasn't even on your Facebook.
No, because it's over and done with. So in Temple, some of my friends went to Temple, and they were film majors, and they moved to California to obviously pursue film after college. And then one of the kids I was friends with, his cousins were living in Oregon, and Oregon was like one of the first states out there to go like legal on recreational weed. Yep. So they started a legal grow, and they needed an investor. So I took some of my GI Bill money, like that I was getting like towards my rent and everything, and it was always extra. So I was always saving it.
With your dad's stuff, they gave you monthly.
Yeah, because like it was paying for my rent too. Like it paid for everything. Yeah,
that's
they give me money for housing, everything. What? Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah.
So I was using it, saving the extra money, rolled it into giving a loan for that, and then the loan just turned into me taking over the business. So we kind of did that for a little bit, and then when California decided to go recreational in 2016, I had met all these people that were growers in Northern California, and I was like, why not like make a business out of helping these guys go legal? Because you had to fill out all this paperwork, submit all this stuff, and all they were just, like, they were hippies at the end of the day. At the end of the day, they knew how to grow weed, but they didn't know how to do paperwork.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Some of them didn't even have internet. So I kind of made a business out of that, did that for a couple of years.
And then selling the pickaxes to mine the gold.
Exactly. Well, they already had the pickaxe. They just needed the little legal brand on the pickaxe.
True.
So I did that senior year and kind of into post-graduation for about a year, and that's how I was making money. That's how I was making real money while I was working for Pike Creek, because I was getting a salary, but it was nothing compared to what I would be making in commission. So
they had you run the company, and then they gave you a salary?
Well, I was running the company. The company was Trinity Cannabis Solutions.
Okay. So
I was running that on the side while working at Pike Creek from 9 to 5.
So
I was getting a salary from Pike Creek.
This intertwined with you starting to do mortgage stuff. So
it was happening all at the same time.
Okay.
But it was separate. Like I was getting paid from Pike Creek, and then I was getting paid from Trinity Cannabis Solutions. So I was flying to California probably once a month and making and putting feet on the ground and doing everything that I needed to do, like meeting wise, and then I would run the business from Delaware.
Now you named your real estate
business. Yeah, Trinity Property Solutions. That's where I got it from. So one door closes, another door opens.
We'll get to that in a second.
Yeah.
But back to the other stuff.
Yeah. So then once I got my licenses with mortgages and I really started writing mortgages, I was like, I kind of want to focus on this. Like, I don't want to be going back and forth to California. Like, it's kind of a pain in the ass.
Yeah.
It wears on you.
How often were you going back and forth to Cali?
Every 3 to 4 weeks.
Really?
Yeah. And I was going right to California, like leaving for California on like a Wednesday or Thursday, coming back on a red eye Sunday night and going right to work.
And what type of work were you doing for the marijuana?
Yeah, so like it went like physically, like when I had to be there, it was like like meeting new clients or meeting with current clients, like kind of like figure like if they wanted to start a new project, like the best way to go about doing that project, and then like just managerial
Were
stuff.
there a bunch of licenses and everything that you had to obtain
Yeah.
first in order
No,
to...
not to run the business at all.
Okay.
I was helping them obtain their licenses.
Got you.
You know, I was a consultant per se for what they were trying to do.
So you didn't need anything that was like,
No.
you know, like I know what I'm doing.
I needed an LLC in California, and that was it.
Did any of their businesses
No one knew what they
ever
were
get
doing.
like shut down?
No, I never had any paperwork get kicked back. Nothing. Never anything negative came from that.
Well, that's awesome.
But
And
I mean,
then-
it wasn't that hard for me to figure out. I mean,
And then you would just take a commission right up front,
I would charge a flat rate.
flat rate.
Yeah,
You wouldn't
based
get
on what
any,
they wanted to do.
no like Kevin O'Leary deals with like 2 cents per
No, nothing.
per item
nothing.
sold.
No, no, it's like you want to do this, like it costs X, like pay me half up front, pay me half when the job's done, and we're good.
And how much would that normally cost?
I think I was charging like $5,000 or $6,000 per license paperwork, and that was everything. I mean, like these guys had to get like water tested, like they had to build like
That's crazy.
containers for like any fuel they had on the property, like just anything you could possibly think of. California was really concerned with how they treated the environment. Like they didn't want pesticides, fertilizers running off. Like that was their main thing. They didn't want people just cutting down trees like without permits, without structural engineers coming in and saying like, no, if you cut that tree down, like half the mountain's gonna come down on you too. Like, and then obviously with forest fires too, that's like a big thing. Like the fire departments, if they came in and saw that you were doing something without permitting or licensing, like they'd be the first people to report you. Because obviously, like that's California's biggest problem. Yeah. Oh yeah.
And with all the forest fires that they've had recently.
Oh yeah. Yeah. And a lot of those forest fires were in areas that like I had previously worked. Like,
really?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
So you're out of there now.
Yeah, there was one time I was about to fly out there, and I had to cancel my trip because like the forest fires were that bad that like I wouldn't have been able to get to where I needed to go.
Damn.
Because like roads were closed because of fires.
What?
Oh yeah.
That's insane.
Yeah, it was crazy.
So is that part of the reason why you dissolved the company, or?
No, I just wanted to focus on mortgages. I started writing when I started getting busier with mortgages, like actually writing like a couple mortgages a month. Like it was taxing to fly to California.
So were you making more of mortgages than you were?
I was starting to.
Okay.
And
So
it
you were doing a
had
lot of
kind of slowed
mortgages.
down because like my niche in the business was like getting people their licenses.
Mhm.
So like that once that was done, it's like what do you do now? You know what I mean? Like I kind of helped manage some of people's businesses, like doing their ordering and stuff like that. But aside from that, like it was starting to wind down. So it was like, you know, either try to sell the company or just, you know, let it go and move on, you know, just do something else. Just focus on, and I had the mortgage thing going, so I was like, you know what, it's time to really like.
And you sold the company?
No, I didn't.
Yeah,
Just
you
dissolved
let
it,
it
you
go.
know, just let it go. Like kind of showed my clients, this is what I've been doing for you, you know, you're smart enough to do it on your own, and walked away. But I mean,
Do you
it was,
regret that at all?
not at all.
No?
Not at all, because like really immersing myself in the real estate side had kind of opened up all these other ideas that I had. Like,
Do you think you could have appointed someone to run that other business while you like?
yes and no. I
You
mean,
know.
like I was already running it from what? I mean, how many miles is it from here to California? Like
A lot.
thousands of miles. Like, yeah, I was already running a business from the other side of the country. Like,
Yeah.
it would have been hard to really find someone here that I could trust because I wouldn't necessarily trust someone there to have done it because
Gotcha.
I can't meet with them face to face
Yeah.
easily. So the whole point was to be in California or be in Delaware. So I just decided to be here.
Terrible mistake.
I mean, everybody glorifies California. Like it's cool and all, but I would never live there. I mean,
No?
I've been all around California, Los Angeles, San
I wanna live
Diego,
in San
like
Diego
the
so
entire.
bad.
I mean, it's all right. Like it's a great place to vacation, but I always loved coming home.
True.
Loved coming home.
And the East Coast is completely different from the
Oh, it
West
is.
Coast.
Yeah,
the
it is.
whole vibe, the whole energy.
Oh yeah.
I feel like West Coast energy is a lot lazier and laid back.
Way more laid back. I mean,
Not
there's a lot of
lazier,
there's
but-
hustlers out there for
Of
sure.
course.
There's hustlers for sure, but
It's so much more relaxed.
yeah. It's
It's
a great
like-
place to vacation.
it's
Like,
like
I
if
could
you
spend
have
a week
work
in
at-
Malibu, but I could never live there. Like,
True.
Like it's
Well,
definitely a place.
Malibu is definitely a vacation place
Oh yeah.
regardless.
Oh yeah. I mean, I've been everywhere. I've been Northern California. I mean, that's where primarily my business was Northern California, like in the sticks.
Really?
The sticks, yeah.
Like near what city? Like near Oakland, San Francisco?
Like 4 hours north of San
my
Francisco.
gosh.
Yeah. Yeah. Like
you were all the way up there.
Closer to Oregon and Washington than the rest of California.
Got you. So you were probably just flying to Oregon?
No, I would fly to Arcata, California, and then it was probably about an hour to 2 hour drive north from there. And Arcata is like already the sticks, like little tiny airport. You fly into San Fran or Oakland first, and then you get on a little tiny plane and you fly north. They get like 3 flights a day to the airport.
What?
Yeah, tiny little place.
Damn.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
At least they have an airport there that's
Yeah.
close by.
Oh yeah, it was like flying into Key West. Like
Why did you choose? Like why did you?
well, that's
choose
where
to
all
business
that all the outdoor marijuana is grown, like in that part of California, like way north. Like I mean, primarily because all those people were growing illegally, and the best way to get away with it is to be as far away from anyone else as humanly possible.
there? Yeah. That's crazy.
Seclusion was how they
How
got
did
away
you
with
find
it.
these people?
Well, so when we had the grow in Oregon, one of my friends who was working in the grow, he was good friends with a girl who was dating a guy in Northern California who had an outdoor grow, and that's who we were getting all our advice from. Like, hey, how do we do this? Like, what's the best nutrients to use for this? And it was
Real quick. Connections rule
oh
the
yeah,
world.
connections are everything. It's all who you know. It's all who you know. So I mean, that's kind of how all that like sprouted, and they helped him out, and then it was everyone else after, all his friends after that needed help, and it just, I primarily made all my connections off word of mouth. No advertising. It was strictly just, hey, this guy helped me out. I think he'd be able to help you out, type deal.
That's sick.
Yeah.
That's pretty sick.
It was a lot of fun.
That's the best.
It was an interesting couple of years.
That's the
I'd say
best
so.
way of marketing, anyways.
Oh yeah.
Because then
Oh, yeah.
they trust you the most as well. Too,
Yeah,
that
if
way.
you're recommended by somebody else, I mean, especially in real estate, I found that to be so much more important. You know, when somebody comes recommended, that's already done business with the person you know, it's foolproof.
Yeah.
Most of
Especially
the
if
time.
that other person has made money with that other person.
Exactly.
They're like, yes, definitely work with him.
I mean, there's still like the anomaly. Like I still, in real estate, have come across people that were recommended to me that have been a disappointment in the end. But you know, that's how it is. You know, everybody has their own people that they work with, that they don't always work the same with someone else.
Makes sense. So, we're back. We're talking about your mortgages and everything. So, tell me, now you're 22, you started working with this company, with the mortgage company, Brandywine Mortgages?
No, Pike Creek Mortgage. Yeah.
Pike Creek Mortgages. You were working with your marijuana dispensary, or marijuana company, sorry,
Yeah.
not dispensary.
Yeah, no, we didn't do it. I wish. Could have made a lot of money doing that.
Right? That would have been sick.
Yeah, I would have never walked away from that, but.
That would have been a dream job.
Yeah, oh yeah.
But so after that, now, like I said, you're 22, working on your mortgages. Let's talk about that now. That's because you did something called Bernie Fix Productions.
That's current.
That's current.
That just started like January of this year.
Okay, tell me a little bit about that before we get into the real estate stuff.
So I mean, I'm like really big into dance music, like EDM, like yada yada yada. Go to like huge festivals, go to Ultra, stuff like that. And this club in Philly opened, I don't know, probably about 2 years ago now, and it's called NOTO. And
It's a poppin' club.
Yeah, it is poppin'. It's poppin'. Started going there a lot.
As a regular attendee.
Yeah, regular attendee. I was a regular, and kind of made friends with like a few of the employees, like a few of the higher ups, and we'd always been thinking, like me and my friends that go to these festivals, go to these shows, we're like, you know, there's nothing in Delaware that there's no avenue for people to go see a show like in Wilmington. Like, what if we could do something like this at the Queen? Like, we think it would definitely pop off. And like through kind of like doing some research, whatever, And talking to the guys at NOTO, they were like, well, why don't you just do that here? You know, we kind of already have outside promoters come in and do shows here. You know, it's way cheaper than trying to like rent out a venue and handle all the logistics yourself. You know, why don't we just set something up where, you know, you kind of bring in the talent and you get the ticket sales and you get a cut of the bar. Like, why don't we just kind of do something like that? That's something we already do as it is. And, you know, they gave us a show. We ran with it. Did a lot better than they thought we would do. And it's kind of been a journey from there.
So your first show was in
February. Was it March? Beginning of March? March 7th was our first show.
Oh, wow, so this is
very recent. Yeah, very recent. Like,
and who did you
Concept
bring in?
was in December. January was grabbed their first show. March was first show date. Artist by the name of Say My Name. It's like a 6'5" black guy. Plays.
How did you find him?
Well, so they already had the show lined up, and they're
Okay.
like, "Why don't you just take this show, you know, cover his fees, whatever, and handle the marketing, handle the ticket sales, like bring people in, try to sell
How much
tables."
was his fees?
I think it was like $4,500 after everything, because like people have they have these things called riders, where you know they need they have like a food requirement for when they're there, or you usually have to cover their hotel, their transportation, stuff like that. So I mean, when it was all said and done, I think it was about $4,500.
That's not bad.
So then it was up to us, you know, kind of promote it, like
Sell the tickets.
yeah, we get to book all the openers, and like we really
And you
rely.
had to pay extra for the openers.
No, so the key is to find young, hungry DJs, like guys kind of like really getting into the scene that
Just one exposure.
Yeah, the one exposure that are gonna push ticket sales, that kind of already have a following, and kind of to get some promoters at the same time to like really help, like, you know, get the word out that you're gonna have this show. And the great thing about NOTO is
So
that
what kind of deal would you work with the DJs to do that? Because you weren't paying.
usually give them a cut of their ticket sales.
Okay.
So the great thing about NOTO is, you know, you have, on one hand, you have a club. You have a nightclub in Philadelphia, which is unlike any other nightclub in Philadelphia. There really aren't many as it is, and Philly's a venue city. So like people go to like, you know, something that's similar to a warehouse,
Mm-hmm.
or like the Electric Factory or the Franklin Music Halls is what it's called now. And it's essentially just a warehouse, you know what I mean, with a stage. Might have a mezzanine, might have a bar, whatever. But you know, people go to venues to see music, and NOTO kind of has the best of both worlds. You know, it's this awesome nightclub. You get the experience. If you want the experience of going to a nightclub, you have that without paying, you know, the astronomical bottle fees, table fees that you would get in Atlantic City or Las Vegas or New York, right in Philadelphia. And you have, on the other hand, a venue. You know, you can bring in a nice music act, a national act, and the same people are going to come to see that national act,
Mm-hmm.
regardless of where it's at. So we kind of learned we had like a niche in the market. You know what I mean? We're in a really good spot. Did the first show, did a lot better than they thought we would do. A lot better than the club would have done on their own.
How much did you guys profit, if you don't mind?
We actually lost a little bit of money on that one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, it's the first one, though.
Yeah, it was our first one. We learned pretty much everything we needed to learn. You know, what things.
What do you think was the biggest lesson?
Motivating people. You know what I mean? Like
To come to the show?
Yeah, I mean, not even just to come. You know, getting the word out. Like the right ways to get the word out. What doesn't work? What's a waste of time? What's a waste of money? You know, what's the best way to focus your resources to reach the most people?
And what do you find is the best way?
Social media.
Instagram?
Finding people with a lot of followers on Instagram. You know, people are active on social media, and people that are in like these circles. You know what I mean? Find somebody that you know who also goes to the same shows, and no one goes to a concert by themselves. Like that's unheard of.
Yeah.
So if you can get one person to kind of push it all to all their friends, and you find a bunch of people willing to do that, you know, before you know it, you've got a lot of separate groups coming to one show. So that was the biggest lesson, was just learning the right way to do things, what worked, what didn't work. And now we have our second show coming May 17th. It's a Friday. That's the other thing. That our show in March was Thursday. It's hard to sell a show on a Thursday, regardless of it being a city like Philadelphia. You know, people got to work on Friday. the act, he is famous, but you know, not a style that usually, or is not a subgenre of EDM that usually sells well in Philly. You know what I mean? Like Philly has what works for Philly, and you know, his following is bigger on the West Coast. So that was another thing. But the guy we have coming in May, his name's Cedric Gervais. He's got a Grammy for remixing "Summertime Sadness" by Lana Del Rey.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah, he just.
So he's pretty
he's
big.
big.
Now.
Oh, he's been big. Like he just headlined Ultra Music Festival in Miami.
Oh shit.
Yeah, like he's big. He's a big DJ.
Yeah,
big time DJ.
If he's an ultra, then he's really big.
Yeah, he's the man.
So people really know who he is.
Yeah, people know who he is.
So do you think this is gonna be easier to sell?
Yes and no. I mean, you can have a top DJ, but at the end of the day, you still gotta push it. You still gotta get out there and let people know, like, hey, this guy's coming. Like, this is the table. We're doing table deals. Like, we're doing.
Are you trying to build like a system?
Yeah, we're trying to build a brand. You know what I mean? Like, we're trying to get the word out that, like, hey, when you come to one of our parties, you're gonna have a great time.
Yeah.
Like, whether you know who the DJ is or not, like, if you come to our show, it's gonna be great. Like, you're gonna have one of the best nights you've ever had, and that's kind of what we're selling. You know what I mean? We're like I said, it's a mix of the club and a mix of the talent. So if we can get the best of both worlds, and you could come out and have never heard of this guy in your entire life and still have an awesome time, like, that's what we're shooting for, and that's what will sell long term.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So I mean, that's kind of what I've been working on the side now.
That's interesting.
A lot of fun.
Yeah, that definitely sounds like it. I mean, if you guys are looking for more people to possibly work with,
Yeah.
we could talk about that.
Yeah. Yeah.
But-
There's definitely. I mean, it's something that you can grow. You know what I mean? Like, I know guys that have started this business.
And entertainment
yeah.
is
Oh,
something
yeah.
that's gonna be
It's gonna be around forever. You know what I mean? The economy could be terrible, but people are still gonna go to concerts.
Exactly. People love music.
Exactly.
People,
It's never going anywhere.
Yeah.
It's never going anywhere.
Yep. And the way that things are now, it's like parties and clubs and everything are as big as ever.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Especially with like people in our generation. You know what I mean? Like
social media promotes clubbing
exactly.
so much.
Exactly. We're selling an experience.
Yeah.
The best way to show that experience is on social media.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So you got to do that as well too. You guys should bring out photographers.
We do.
Okay.
Oh, we do. We definitely do. Yeah.
And entice them, like,
I
get
think
your,
I had
get
like
your
2 or
Instagram
3.
photos.
Yeah,
like.
yeah. I think I had 2 or 3 at the last one. I'll have like 2 or 3 at this one. You know.
And you pay them as well too, or?
Usually we try to find somebody just like the same as the DJ situation. Somebody that's trying to build their portfolio. That's never shot a concert before.
So do they push out tickets?
No, not the photographers,
Okay.
but they just it's them.
Lower
It's their way to get
costs.
experience. You know what I mean? Like you get access to the entire venue. You get to shoot this national act and have full access to shoot whatever you want.
How are you sure you could trust their work?
I mean, that's the gamble you take. That is the gamble you take. You know what I mean? Like, obviously, if you go out and you pay a photographer $300 to shoot for the night, you have some sort of expectation. Like, I want at least this out of it. Like, the pictures better be killer.
Yeah.
You know what
of
I mean?
course.
But
that price point too.
Exactly. And when you're getting something for free, you're kind of taking a gamble. Like, you're sacrificing. Maybe the quality's not going to be as great for. At least it's documented. At least I'll get to put more money in my pocket at the end of the night.
Got you. Well, I love your entrepreneurial mind, man, and like
That's all I
constantly
do every
through
day.
all of this stuff, you're trying to be in the mix and everything.
Oh yeah, you gotta.
How do you stay focused with it?
I mean, you really just have to motivate yourself. I had a mentor that told me, but I don't remember exactly how it was worded, but something like 5% of the population has the balls to work for themselves, and then an even smaller percentage has the motivation to actually go out there and do it. You know what I mean? To physically get out and work. Like,
Yeah.
you can't just have an idea. You have to put it to paper. You know what I mean? You have to put it in motion.
Mm-hmm.
And I've kind of always been the person that I don't always plan things like from A to Z, but I do it.
You're not a
Yeah.
look at the instructions guy.
I'm
let's
gonna
just
jump
build
right.
that
Let's
shit.
just do it. Let's just jump right in and do it.
I feel the same
you're gonna
way.
You're gonna sink or swim.
I feel the same way. I'm
exactly.
the exact same person. I hate the contemplating. I hate, like, planning every little
Yeah.
fucking thing out. It's just
Because
like
it's not going to go that way.
Yeah,
it's
just
not.
do it.
Nothing is ever going to go exactly how you plan it. You know, just kind of have a
The
general
faster-
idea, get in there, and hope for the best.
Yeah, I kind of like the analogy of like jumping into a cold pool, where it's like you can't just like take steps
Yeah,
in.
you can't put a toe in.
Balls to the walls, man.
Yeah,
just jump right
go
in.
right in, go right for it. You know, and if you fail, then you
Then
either
you
give
learn
up,
something.
you either give up or you learn something.
Yeah.
Like,
Every failure though is a lesson learned.
exactly.
We don't call them failures, we call them learning seminars.
Exactly. It might cost you a little bit of money, but hey, one day you're gonna make money off your idea.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Or one day you're gonna make money off of what you had learned to save
Yeah.
you money.
Yep.
But so yeah, I love the entrepreneurial spirit, mindset, everything. Now let's talk about your real estate stuff. Save the best for last because
Yeah.
I know this is what your main
Primary
focus it is.
yeah.
And this is what your passion is, right? Like
Yeah.
you
Oh,
feel
yeah,
like you
I love
definitely
real
have
estate.
passion.
Yeah. I mean, if you're not passionate about it, it's not long term.
Yeah, of course.
You know what I mean?
So going back to, you said you had a bunch of mentors. When did you first get your first mentor for business period? Were your parents a lot of your mentors at all, or
No, my parents, like my mom is an OR nurse and she runs a surgery center. It's like she's like management. My dad's career Navy. I was always just about the money, always
you kind of sound like me. Like my mom is a principal and my dad's a cop.
Yeah, you're just like you want to make it on your own.
Exactly.
I'd say my first real mentor was my mortgage mentor, Nick DeMedio. I would say that was like the first person that really like showed me like this is the best way to do things. He was a person I could go to and ask like, hey, what's.
And you just met him in the last 2 years of your life.
Well, I guess about 3 years now. But yeah, pretty much. I mean, and he wasn't always my mentor with everything. Like obviously the music thing was like, those were mentors would be people like upper management at the club at NOTO.
Yeah.
Nick wasn't exactly supportive of like me buying rental properties or me doing flips, but that was just something like through like being in the real estate industry, you meet these people that are doing it, and like obviously like, and you meet some people that aren't the smartest. You're like you can tell right away like like how is this person successful? Like what is going on here? Like there's something I'm missing. Like and it's just like you realize one day like I can do this. Like, this isn't rocket science. Like if I'm willing
it's simple
to
numbers, simple math, like
if the money's
addition,
if the numbers are right and you're willing to work hard enough and pay enough attention to something, like
and meet enough people.
Yeah, you can figure it out.
Yeah.
You'll be able to figure it out. I mean, a lot of it's like just like I said, just dive right in, take the risk, because it's either gonna work out or it's not.
Got you. I like that. It's a very good.
That's a very good way to look at things.
Yeah, very good.
It
way to
can bite you,
very
but
good advice, period.
Yeah.
It definitely can, but I mean, with anything that you don't necessarily want to just jump in. Period. Like going back to the pool analogy, like if you know the water is fucking freezing, you're not
jumping
gonna,
in.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, no.
Just like in a business deal, if you know that something doesn't sit well with you, or you're not doing all of your research into it, you're not just gonna jump into a business deal.
No.
We don't recommend that to anyone. Like
Yeah,
whenever
no.
you're doing something,
Don't just go out and buy a house just because
someone says
buying a rental property makes sense. The numbers have to work.
Exactly. That's what I'm trying to get
Yeah.
at. It's like whatever as an entrepreneur, whatever you feel like you want to do, make sure you do your research first.
Oh yeah.
And make sure it's feasible.
Talk to as many people as you can.
Exactly.
As many people.
The risk is mitigated.
Yeah, exactly. And especially like in something like real estate where people are mostly working on other people's money. You know what I mean? Unless you got $1 million to just bankroll all your ideas, there's really no risk there. But when you're working with somebody else's money and you're putting your credit on the line, like make sure you ask a million questions.
Yeah.
Make sure you ask as many different people as you possibly can.
So with some of your real estate deals right now, have you gotten money from other investors?
Oh yeah. All my rental properties are mortgaged. Did a mortgage on all of them. I found, but being alone.
Are you in that deal though by yourself?
Yes, yeah, solely me. I'm the sole proprietor of my company.
I was wondering if you had like.
No angel investors, no silent
Gotcha.
partners, like strictly me.
Now are those loans FHA was your first one an FHA?
They're
loan?
both conventional, so you
Okay.
can't do an FHA loan on a property that you don't live in.
Yeah.
You buy an investment property with an FHA loan.
You have to live in there for what is it, a year?
Yeah. Usually 6 months to like be safe.
And they do check you on that too, which is pretty crazy.
Yes and no. Like, I mean, I know people that have like they'll get their mail sent to their rental property and they'll get away with it that way. I did conventional loans, and through doing mortgages, I kind of found out a way. Like, hey, if I buy a property that is already rented, that's got a tenant in place with a lease, I can use that rental income as qualifying income and not even have to put my own income on paperwork. You know what I mean? Like, so I bought both of these properties.
That's
Yeah.
brilliant.
Yep, tenant occupied, and then you use 75% of the rent as qualifying income. And if you can find a place for a low enough price with a high enough rent, that the numbers make sense, because then the mortgage will be low if the price is low enough. It just works. You know what I mean? Like, but I think, full disclosure, both the properties,
That's awesome.
the mortgages were under $475, and the rents were $1,300 and $1,375.
How much did you put down on the?
20%. You got to put 20%. No matter
Okay,
what.
so you did a 20% convention, not
Yeah.
like a 3 or 5.
Yeah, because it's an investment property, you have to put 20%. And I think
Not all the time. I mean, well, actually.
yeah, 20%. And I
'cause
think
I
for
was-
a duplex, I think I had to put 25.
Really?
Yeah.
Because I was looking at a duplex for myself when I was like first trying to, like, last year or 2 years ago. When
Were you gonna live in it?
I was, because
That's
I was
why.
gonna live in one and rent out the
That
other.
if you do that, you avoid it.
Gotcha.
You can go. You do an FHA loan, 3.5% down.
I was gonna do a conventional.
But even better, 3% down. But I wasn't planning to live in any of these places.
For if someone's gonna do that, like that house hacking with living in one and renting.
Yeah,
renting those,
it's a
do
smart
you,
idea.
Do you recommend that they do a FHA or conventional?
Well, it's really based on the person. You know what I mean? I mean, a conventional loan is, in my opinion, always better because if you have mortgage insurance, it falls off after you have 20% equity in the property. FHA, the mortgage insurance is for the life of the loan, so you never get out of that. You know, that's just money just going down the drain. FHA requires 3.5% down, which is obviously more than 3%.
Mm-hmm.
And if your credit is high enough, you're going to get a better rate on a conventional loan than you would on an FHA loan.
Gotcha.
So as long as your credit's great, it's really based on your personal goals. But as long as your credit's great, conventional loans are always better.
My credit is good.
Yeah, I mean, credit is everything in the real estate business. You know, if your credit sucks, like you can't do anything. Like if my credit was bad, I wouldn't be able to flip houses. I wouldn't be able to do
The
anything.
shitty part for me is that my credit score, I have like a 767 credit
It's
score.
good.
Which
It's
is
great.
good. Yeah, it's really good. But student loans bog me down.
Yeah, I mean that's most people. Most people our age right now. That's the biggest thing that's holding them back from buying a house is their student loans.
Sucks,
Yeah.
man.
Yeah, there's nothing you can do.
Like literally, I was like, I've got like 20K. You know, I'm trying to buy this house. They're like, nah. You know, with what it is that you have right now and what you're claiming that you make them, you know, yearly.
Yeah.
You don't.
Yeah, it doesn't
qualify.
work out.
Mother-
Doesn't work out.
And it sucks because then like I lose the opportunities, but then like I don't want to just drop 20K on my student loans because there's no.
And at the end of the day, it's really all you can do, though.
Yeah,
It's not going
sucks.
away. It's
Yeah,
not going away.
but it's like, damn, like how can I leverage my money better to, either make me more money or to pay it down in a more efficient way that it doesn't leave me just broke.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, really, the only thing you do is pay off your student loans.
It sucks.
It sucks.
Student loans suck.
They do. They're
Part
terrible.
of the time, I wish I never went to college.
Right,
Or
right.
just did like community college or like the C program, 2 and 2.
Most of the young people that I had trying to buy houses, the ones in the best position were people who just got a trade.
Yeah.
Like who had been working a trade for a few years, making decent money, but they don't have student loans. So at the end
That's
of the
what
day,
I try to tell people now too. 'Cause I feel like part of college is like a scam now. But I'm like, all right, if you really want to go to college, and I mean, it is a
I mean,
necessary.
no one can
evil.
take it. No one can ever take your degree away
Of course,
from you.
of
At
course.
the end of the day.
Your education period.
Yeah.
You feel me? But like, I definitely think that you could learn a lot of the same stuff and have
Yeah.
some of the same experiences in a community college, and it costs 3 times.
Yeah, way less, way less. But I think that was the biggest thing in college, was the experience, learning
Yeah.
about other people's opinions, like learning about all
Meeting
these
other
things that you
people.
didn't know about. Like I think that
Like
was the biggest thing.
Like I'm saying that right now, but I honestly don't think I'll ever wish that I didn't go to
Oh no,
University of Delaware?
I would never. I think it was a great experience. Great 4 years.
Best 4 years
Yeah,
of my life.
it was awesome. It was awesome.
Or
I never traded
to this day.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I don't think we'll ever be at the top college, personally.
I think we will.
I had some great times
especially
in college.
where you're going.
Oh yeah, yeah.
You know, you're
I don't
definitely
miss
going,
homework or exams. That's for sure.
or papers.
Nothing.
None of that.
Going to class, like everything else was fun, but the education part wasn't the most the most fun.
Definitely not. Self-educating is much better.
Yeah.
But so, like, how did you get into real estate? Like, I mean, you started as the mortgage loan officer and everything, but like, who brought you into that? And like, why did you see yourself having a passion for this? Like, were you looking at some of these social media people at that time, or
no?
like,
I mean, Nick DeMedio is the one that brought me into mortgages. You know, I already kind of had an interest in real estate.
from what?
I don't know. I can't really remember what made me want to go to real estate school. I think it was just like, I feel like I could sell houses, like it'd be something I was good at. But then like really learning about real estate happened when I was doing mortgages, like learning how the mortgage process works, how the home buying process works, you know, how houses, you know, are gaining their value every year, stuff like that. And then I think it was just like, you know, through meeting real estate agents, like seeing how, and then hearing about people that were doing loans in our company for guys that were buying all these rental properties and making all this money off rental properties.
I gotta have a piece of that.
Yeah, I was like, what better way to invest your money? Like, I didn't really understand the stock market. You know, that's not something that I learned about. I learned about the real estate market and homes and real property. So that's kind of, I decided, you know, stick to what you know, and learned about the real estate game, put my money into investment properties. And I think as soon as I did that, I got a taste, like just that little taste of doing that. I was like, this is what I'm going to do. This is where I belong, per se. I mean, I hated dealing with my tenants suck. Like, don't get me wrong, like, they're terrible. Dealing with making people pay.
Walk me through your first deal then. So
I bought 2 houses at the same time.
At the same time?
At the same time. I was just going to buy one. I was just going to ease into it. This is too great. Like, this is too great of an opportunity, and I didn't use all the money that I thought I was going to use, so I was like, why not try to buy another one? Like, why not get another one at the same time? Close on the same day on the both houses.
Okay.
First deal, I was sitting at a closing for one of my clients with Vince Garman, mutual client with Vince Garman, and the selling agent was there with the seller, and Vince kind of said, like, across the table, like, hey, this guy is trying to buy an investment property, like, do you have anything that you're trying to get rid of? Because in the city of Wilmington, like, most of these houses are owned by, you know, a handful of guys, 10 guys maybe. Yeah. And most of the time they try to sell these houses off market. The best ones never go on the MLS. Like, you'll never see them publicly.
Same thing with Newark too.
Exactly. They all sell them to each other. So he's like, yeah, I got a few coming on. Sent me all the addresses. I looked at a couple of them, and then found the duplex that I had. And the numbers on the duplex just made the most sense. You know, you got 2 people paying separate rents. So even if one person isn't paying, the other person's covering your mortgage and then some. So that it was a safe deal. It was safe. It was a good first one to do. Yeah. And then.
And how much did you put on that?
That was 20% down. I think I paid like $76,000 for it, plus closing costs. And then across the city, I'm friends with Liam O'Neill. He's also a young real estate agent. And his dad is Brian O'Neill, and they own One Pie Holdings, and they have, I can't even tell you how many rental properties. They buy a lot of houses and flip them, or they buy them and then wholesale them to other people. So they had a list of houses that were coming on that they were trying to get rid of. And I kind of wanted to get something that was Section 8, because I had heard about Section 8, guaranteed money, you can't beat it. So I took one of their Section 8 properties and kind of ran with that one. And after they both,
the same day?
Yeah, after they both closed, and like then I'm a landlord. I got 3 different tenants, and then I was like, whoa, this is a lot. Like
all in one day.
Managing all this, so I was like, I got to get used to this a little bit. Maybe I'll buy another one down the road. And since day one of doing mortgages, there's all these.
Have any debt?
Yeah, well, I had a lot of debt out of nowhere. Yeah, I got 2 houses now. So then, the whole time I was doing mortgages, like kind of from day one, you see these TV shows about flipping houses, like all this other stuff, and then you kind of meet realtors that are involved in that business, and you're like, damn, like that looks like a lot of fun. Like, you don't have to deal with people, you just buy a house, fix it up, sell it, like make a bunch of money, and move on to the next one. So kind of for a couple of years, I was like, I really want to get into that. So got the rental part kind of under my belt a little bit. I had the houses for a couple months, and I was like, you know what, like I want to flip, like I want to buy a flip. I think so I got this flip in New Jersey, closed on it at the end of January, started work on it in February, and it goes on the market this weekend. Done and done. Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah.
So
and
how much
I'll
time
do
was
well
that?
on that one too.
How much time in between was that?
I could have done it way faster, like not looking back on it, knowing what I know now. But
So
I did it.
this was your second flip.
This is my first flip.
Your first
third
flip.
house. Looking back on it, I probably could have done it. In
And
half
you
the
still
time.
holding your other two.
No, so a week ago today, I sold my duplex
Gotcha.
for a nice profit.
Mm-hmm.
And then
Make sure you hold some money behind for taxes.
Yeah, I'm not spending any of it.
Okay.
All I did was pull out what I put on my down payment.
Because they say, you need to hold what, like
30%.
30%.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. I mean, because it's an LLC, so I'll have to pay capital gains. But I'll let my accountant work that one out. We're gonna write some of that off, obviously.
Did you find a good accountant?
Yeah, I have a great accountant. My accountant's actually in California.
Oh, really?
When I had the cannabis company, I used a California accountant because obviously I had to file California state taxes, and he'll do it. He was willing to do my Delaware taxes too, and he's great.
Obviously because you're doing business out
Yeah.
there. But did you LLC it in Delaware?
No, I LLC in California.
How come?
I think just to be like a California-based company, and if you're an LLC that's working out of California, not in state, you have to pay a bunch more in fees.
Gotcha.
So it was just cheaper in the long run to work out of California.
So for the real estate stuff, have you LLC'd it in Delaware?
Yes, yeah. All my LLCs now are in Delaware. That's just cheaper. That's why Delaware's a great state for business. And then I'm selling the other house, the Section 8 house on Lancaster Ave. Should do well on that one too.
How come you're selling here if you're making?
I just want to focus on flipping. Being a landlord is interesting. Dealing with these people's problems, like staying like these little fines that, that like say the tenant doesn't cut the grass and the city hits you with a fine. That stuff adds up. It's kind of a headache. It takes up a decent amount of time. But obviously it is, the numbers work on that house. It makes great money, and that's kind of the benefit is you're not forced to sell. Like if somebody doesn't want to give me what I'm asking for it, it's not going anywhere. Like I'm going to keep it. So if somebody wants to give me what I'm asking for it, I'm going to make my money and buy a bigger flip next time.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, my philosophy has always been, if you got to buy a house, you got to buy a house. There's people that are reaching the point where they just have to buy a home. Like they're either moving to the area or they've reached the point where they're tired of renting. And if you put a nice enough product out there, if you've a fully renovated house is always going to attract a buyer over, the house that hasn't had a kitchen update in 10 years, hasn't had a bathroom update in 15 years. Like people are always going to want to buy the renovated house over the unrenovated house. So if you do quality enough work, put a nice enough product on the market, like I don't think that's going anywhere. And as long as we got people who aren't paying their mortgages, that are losing their houses to the bank, that don't take care of their houses.
Looking at the last recession, though, seeing where everyone went after the hit, because people weren't really buying houses then.
No.
They were looking at more rentals and everything.
The rental market's not going anywhere.
Exactly. That's what I'm
especially in Delaware, especially in Wilmington.
That's what I'm trying to get at. Is like why do you want to sell the houses that you're getting right now if you're making decent money on them, and like looking at the future of where everything is going, you might be a little more secure with your investments.
You're always going to be secure in a rental property, as long as you have a tenant. As long as you know what I mean, my mortgages they're not going to change for 30 years. They're 30-year mortgages. They weren't going to go anywhere. And as long as you got a tenant in place, and if anything, you raise the rent. You never lower it.
Yeah. But if you're focused on flipping, are you worried that you might get stuck with one of these houses?
No.
Because
that's everything you look at before you purchase a house.
But I know like a lot of the numbers for flipping are a lot different from the numbers for renting as well too.
Yeah, when you buy a house that you're gonna flip, you're looking at your estimated resale value. Like what are the comps? When's the last time that house sold in those comps? How fast did it sell? You know, where's the house at? Like, you don't want to buy a house that no one wants to move there. Like, so you look at all these factors and you kind of make a decision like, okay, this is a sought after area. You know what I mean? Like, this house, this is a hot market. You know, and as long as you kind of pay attention to that, you know, because there's a lot of people flipping houses that are just like, oh, it makes sense to flip a house. Like, this is what people are doing. Like, I see it on TV. I can do this. Like,
Gotcha.
they're not putting any thought into what they're buying. That's how you get screwed. You know what I mean? And that's it. All comes back to relationships. Like, I have a great real estate agent that, you know, does the groundwork for me, and I got a great crew of guys that do the work. So at the end of the day, you know, I'm putting out a good.
Anyone you want to shout out?
Mike Walton, Berkshire Hathaway. Yeah. So I mean, it's all about just doing your homework. You know, really, what are your goals? My goals aren't to be. My goals were to, you know, have 20 rental properties in the city. That was going to be my retirement plan. You know.
Yeah.
Just move to Florida, have 20 rental properties in Wilmington, have a nice fat direct deposit every first
month.
of the month. But, you know, I think I don't really want to deal with having to fix windows, having to paint window frames for the city.
Why don't you just get a property management company?
Could cost money.
But it's only 10%.
It's still 10%. I'd rather take all my money, put it into flipping a house, and just keep rolling on with it. You know what I mean? Like, my flip house is in New Jersey. Like, being a rental property owner, it kind of sticks me to where I'm at. Like, the city requires you to live in the county or hire a property manager. And I wasn't at the point where I wanted someone else to do it. I wanted to kind of learn the business on my own. I wanted to learn what it was like to manage one of your rental properties. And it sucks. Dealing with people, I mean, especially tenants, is terrible. You know what I mean? Like, dealing with people that don't pay their rent on time, that don't pay their electric bills, you know, it's wearing, and I'd rather just focus on not dealing with people, managing the people that.
So do you think in that sense though, I mean, if you get to the point where you have 20, you know, and you're making a nice big fat check, don't you think that 10% might be worth it to not have those headaches, but to have that residual, so you don't have to worry about selling a house?
All the guys that I know that are doing it on that scale don't have property managers.
No?
Yeah, at least the guys that I know. I know there's some out there that are doing it massively that have property managers that have like 100 houses, but most of the guys that I know, they do it themselves, and they also.
Why do you think they do that?
I mean, you do it long enough, you learn the ins and outs of Delaware landlord-tenant code. Like, you learn how to deal with a problem right away so that it doesn't come back to bite you in 3 months. You know, I mean, these guys are you know, you learn as you go. And eventually it gets to the point where you've seen it all.
But don't you think it would be a lot easier
to hire a property manager?
Yeah. And to just
it's definitely easy. It's definitely easy. I mean, but at the same time, I think you save more money. And at the end of the day, it's like, this is now my day job. I mean, why like use my time to make as much money as I possibly can?
Well, because then you, instead of fixing windows, then you could be focusing on networking or, you know.
Yeah, you can. I mean, there's
doing other things.
There's positives and negatives to both sides.
Because then also you don't have to go to court for, you know, kicking
exactly.
people out.
Exactly. I had to do that on my duplex as soon as I bought it.
Really? You had to go to court for someone?
Right away. Within probably a month I kicked him out in January. It takes a little bit of time, but I mean, I bought the house and 2 weeks later I was filing the paperwork to kick him out.
How were you able to do that?
Just like asking people, like the guys that I had bought my houses from were willing to you know, offer me advice, to explain to me like the best way to go about doing things, because they wanted me to succeed. They wanted me to buy more houses from them. So, you know, just, you got to do what you got to do. If somebody's not paying the rent, you got to get them out, and you got to get somebody else in there.
Of course.
So it was more like I had a fire under my ass to get out to go do it. Just
because otherwise you had to pay the rent yourself.
Yeah, I mean, luckily it was my duplex, so like I said, the upstairs guy was covering my mortgage and then some. But I mean, still, you're losing half of your profit every month, or more than half your profit.
And how long did it take to get him out?
The process takes about 60 days in Delaware.
Okay.
You file, and then 4 to 6 weeks later, you'll get a court date, and you go to court, and then, assuming you did everything correctly, 10 days later, you get him out. Yeah, 10 days after the court date, because you have 10 days to file for possession when you have to wait 10 days.
So did it take that full 2 months for you?
No, I told him up front that I was kicking him out, that this whole thing was going to happen, and they waited until the day of court to to just
To
leave
leave.
on their own. Yeah. They left all their stuff behind, and it was disgusting.
What?
I cleaned the place out, but
They left all their stuff behind?
pretty much everything. Yeah,
That's
pretty
whack.
much everything. It took me 6 hours to clean the place.
Did you get anything good to pawn?
No, no. If they ain't good to pawn, they'd have paid me their money, paid me a little something. No, I had to rent a truck, lost money there, go to the dump, do the whole thing.
Damn.
Yeah.
So, I know you said you're like, oh, you know, retirement, have 20 houses. Where do you see yourself in the future? Do you want to keep on flipping houses, or do you want to
Yeah.
get to the point where you're like buying a huge apartment complex or office space?
Yeah, I mean, if I get to the point where I can buy a large apartment building, that's ideal. I mean, that's a great way to make income every month. But I think in the long term, I'm going to be flipping houses for a while.
I want to create like a real estate equity firm. Like, I'm not like an equity firm, but like an investment.
Yeah.
You know.
Like a conglomerate of people
Exactly.
like buying. Yeah.
So, you know, I just go in, because I don't have that capital right now.
Yeah.
But you know, the big deals
Well,
are where the
so a lot of these
big
guys,
money's at.
a lot of these guys that have all these rental properties that wholesale all these properties, like they're not getting mortgages anymore. Like they've got relationships with like WSFS, and they're getting just massive blanket loans. You know what I mean? Like they're getting a huge $1 million line of credit
Yeah.
to go buy whatever they want, because the bank knows that they're going to make their payments, and then they manage their money that way. So
Hmm.
they'll go buy 5 houses at a time, wholesale a few of them, flip a few of them, and then they're making all this money. So I mean, that's the kind of where I want to get to, is to the point where I'm doing so much and doing it.
Relationship
Yeah,
with the banks,
exactly.
not other investors.
Exactly, doing it for so long that somebody will just give me, you know, a fat check to go buy whatever I want to buy, leaving it up to me to make the decision, and trusting that it's going to be a wise financial decision,
Mm-hmm.
and that I can make money for myself, make money for the bank, and you know, just roll with it. Because I mean, that's not gonna change in the city of Wilmington.
Yeah.
There's just so many empty houses. There's
It's
just
huge
so,
vacancies.
Yeah, exactly. Huge vacancies, huge opportunities.
One of my friends, Joel and Bryce, forget Bryce's name, but they got the Wilmington company.
Okay.
Have you heard of them?
No.
But they're doing a lot of things with Eastside Rising,
Okay.
which is another like big project.
Yeah.
But they're turning a lot of the empty homes into spaces for VAs,
Okay.
retired vets, and
Yeah.
everything.
Yeah. I mean, that's long
But
term.
working with the state as well too to purchase them and house them and everything.
Yeah.
So that whole market is huge as well too.
I mean, I've definitely found getting money from the state is the best way to do anything. Like getting money from the Wilmington Housing Authority for my 1030 Lancaster property is, you know, direct deposit into my bank account every month for that guy's rent. You know, you
For the
can't-
Section 8.
Yeah, for the Section 8. You can't beat it.
Do you want to do a lot more Section 8 properties or no?
Yeah, looking back, if I bought another rental property, it would be Section 8. Yeah, for sure.
But you're mainly just focused on the flips.
Yeah, yeah. That's
So
I can always buy more rentals, you know
how
what I
many
mean? There's
flips do you
always
wanna do next
opportunities.
year?
So this is my first year, I guess, doing flips.
And you've already done.
I want to do 4.
you've
My
done
goal is
one.
4. Yeah, my goal is 4, but I'm gonna try for 5. Like I'm not just gonna meet my goal. I want to pass my goal. So I want to do 5 this year, and I want to get to the point where I can do multiple at a time.
Word. I like it.
Yeah, I mean that's what the guys that are doing it as a full-fledged career are doing multiple flips at a time.
And you're gonna use your own money or?
Yeah, well I have a hard money lender on my flips, so the way that works is like called a short-term loan.
Mm-hmm.
So you get a loan for like 6 months. They give you a percentage of what the house is expected to resell at, and then you fix the house up and sell it within 6 months, and then you pay them back.
And how'd you make that connection?
So hard money lenders are like a thing, you know, just like mortgage companies. I just kind of asked around, you know, who does hard money, called a few guys, got rejected by a few guys, until I found someone that was willing to work with me. And
What did you have to convince him?
I mean, nothing. The biggest thing with the guys that denied me were they didn't want to work with someone on their first flip.
And being young.
Which is understandable. Well, they had no idea how old I was. They just
Okay.
didn't want to do somebody's first flip, and I found a guy that was willing to do it. You know, I mean, with hard money lenders, they have a lot more hand in the bucket per se. Like when you get a mortgage, they'll do like an appraisal on the house, but Like with hard money lender, you have to fill out like what's called a scope of work. Like this is what it's going to cost me to do this for everything you're going to do to the house, and then they factor that into what the house is going to be worth when it's sold. And if like it's just a numbers game, you know, if the numbers make sense, they'll lend you the money to do it.
So do you have a plan that you come at them like before?
Yeah, before you buy the house, like in the process of getting like closing on the property, like that 30-day window after you put your deposit down. You go back and forth with them, like, hey, this is I need to put drywall in the whole house, or the house needs a new roof, and this is what I think it's going to cost.
So you'll talk to the hard money lender after you have the house under contract.
Yes, after you've already.
Why not before?
Well, you can before. I mean, they'll do like a proof of funds, stuff like that, but really it's more like doing your homework up front. Like I'm not going to put a down payment on something that I don't think or I'm not going to put an earnest money deposit on something that's not going to make sense.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I know I can figure out this is what my rate is going to be on the flip. This is what it's going to cost me to flip it. This is what my real estate costs are going to be, my transfer taxes, and then what am I going to make if it makes sense, it makes sense. If it doesn't, you know,
if it makes
it's a big
money,
it's a gamble. Yeah, if it makes some money, it makes sense. But it is a gamble. I'm like, hey, this is what I expect it to cost, and I need it to cost at least this, no more, hopefully less, and it works out in the end.
Shit. Well, that's lit.
Yeah, it is. It's a lot.
But you're learning the game step by step.
Exactly.
You know, slowly.
I learned a
but
lot.
surely.
I learned a lot on this house, for sure. Yeah.
And every deal is a new lesson learned.
It is.
What are some ways you found are the most helpful to help guide you through this? Your mentors, or are you using things like bigger pockets?
Yeah, I mean, anytime I've hit for the flip, for instance, like anytime I've kind of come across something that was unexpected or was a surprise per se, you know, asking people like I don't, you know, Frankie Bromwell.
Yeah.
Shout out Frankie. He has a construction company. You know, if there was something that didn't make sense to me or something that seemed a little too expensive on an estimate side for things, you know, I'd ask him what he thought. Like, what do you think about this? He recommended some contractors to me for some things, and it was just really just bouncing ideas off other people, family members that are contractors. You know, just asking around, like, what's the best way to kind of approach this problem without losing money.
Yeah. I think that's the best way to go about anything too.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
When you're unsure of something.
And there's a little business
always
involved
just ask
too. Like,
around.
you know, if you gotta get your roof done, like, this guy said it would cost this. This guy said it would cost this. Like, what are you willing to do it for? You know what I mean?
Bargaining.
Exactly. So, you know, get a good deal when you can.
I like that.
Yeah.
I like it. So, do you have anything that you want to tell them before this is over? Like any tips, any motivation, inspiration? I mean, you yourself are motivation and inspiration because of how young you are and all the things that you're doing. Like, I mean, you motivate me.
Like, I would say, you know, I mean, so my grandparents got me some stock for my graduation from college, and it tanked. I remember when I was buying houses, I was like, let me sell this stock off. Like, I think my grandparents said it was worth like $500 when they gave it to me when I graduated. I was like, all right, $500. Like, I could use that towards down payment, whatever. And it was I went to sell, it was worth like $40. I was like, are you kidding me? Like, this is a joke. Like, you gotta be kidding. Like, you gotta be kidding.
What was it stock in?
I don't even, some communication company.
Oh my gosh.
Like, this is a joke. Like, are you kidding? Like, there's no way.
It didn't make a good investment.
Yeah, no way. And I was like, all right, yeah, this is not what works for me. Like, I would never buy stock ever again in my life. So I think my biggest tip to people is, you know, if you don't know the real estate industry, learn about it, you know.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't say go take a real estate class, but, you know, just, like, talk to realtors, you know, kind of figure out, like, hey, what's the market look like? You know, if you want to flip houses, don't be afraid to kind of just jump right in. I mean, obviously it takes a little capital. You don't have to bankroll the whole thing by yourself. You don't need $250,000 to be successful, but I mean, save your money. You know, it's going out every weekend, you know, having a brand new car, you know, all that stuff's cool.
They're
but
not necessities.
Yeah, but that's not going to make you money, you know what I mean? Don't blow your money on things that, you know, on on assets. You know,
I mean on liabilities.
On liabilities, yeah, on liabilities.
Spend
you know?
it on assets.
Spend it on assets. Make the money, and then buy the liabilities.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
When you have money to blow.
Yeah. When you've got a little extra money from your assets, spend it on a liability. Or, I mean, my best advice to people is buy more assets. You know.
And in order to do that, a quote that me and Jimmy had that
Yeah.
we talked about a lot is sometimes you gotta eat shit for a couple years to eat caviar for the rest of your life.
Exactly.
So you know,
yeah,
it's time to eat some shit.
To young people, it's like, you know, Rome wasn't built in a day. You know what I mean? You're not just gonna come out of college. You're not just gonna jump right into something and see success right away. You know, you gotta build that. I mean, and don't be afraid. Don't be afraid to build. Don't be afraid of failure. Just keep grinding. You know, every day is a new day. You know, what happened yesterday, you can't control it. Just keep pushing. You learn from it. Keep pushing forward. And you know, try to just push yourself out of your comfort zone. You know, if you're comfortable, that's a bad thing.
I like it.
Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, Ben.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.
You know, I hope you guys learned a lot. I definitely learned a lot. Had an amazing time having you on here. I mean, thank you, period, just for taking your time out of your,
great.
out of your busy schedule and coming and meeting with me.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
So definitely look forward to, maintaining a relationship.
Yeah, for sure.
Some type of relationship.
For sure.
And,
Call me whenever.
Yeah, seeing where we can go from here. I know you got a bright future, so I wish you the best with everything, especially in real estate. And I can't wait to see where you go from here. Maybe I'll be fucking renting an office space from you in the future.
Commercial, yeah, that's a lot of money in commercial.
But it was definitely good talking to you.
Yeah, thank you, I appreciate it.
No problem. And we out.